Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. Today's topic is mindfulness and poetry and what we can learn about our mindfulness practice through poetry. And this is kind of in honor of my latest track's been released, An Insight Timer. It's The Guest House by Rumi. It's just a 55-second track where you can hear the poem, and I've left it that way just so that you can enjoy the poem. I didn't put any commentary at all on the poem, and to be honest, I kind of like it that way. I don't think I don't think I need to add or subtract anything. And if you want to do some analysis of the poem, that's what live events like this are for. So that you can really fully enjoy the poem the way that it is. Thank you. Thanks, Jean. Thanks for sharing the poem around. So let's I'll read the poem in a bit, but that's what we're starting with. So we're starting with The Guest House by Jalaluddin Rumi. The reason that this poem has been chosen as kind of our entryway into poetry and mindfulness is this is considered by most to be the quintessential mindfulness poem. That the way that we approach our practice tends to kind of fall there inside of the words that we find in the guest house, in that all kinds of things show up in life. And our mindfulness practice encourages us to examine what it is that shows up with curiosity and kindness, and to see if we can observe what happens in our life without judgment. And that even includes our emotional reactions. So sometimes we encounter very difficult things in life, things that feel like they're permanent, things that feel like they're going to last forever, and that are unpleasant, and that feel like they disrupt our entire lives. Is it possible to be aware of that, to observe that time in our life with curiosity? And I think I've shared before that this was the most powerful thing that I gleaned from my mindfulness practice, was this getting in touch with the monitoring version of myself, the self that's, that here's me, and the monitoring version of myself is up here kind of watching me and seeing me with objectivity. I've used a long time ago, and I still like this analogy, this time where maybe you find that you're crying, you're sobbing, you're really having a difficult time, and you go into the bathroom and you see yourself in the mirror. And I think that there's a just a little momentary awareness that can happen in there, that we see ourselves, and in this case it's literally seeing ourselves, and through that seeing there's a kind of objectivity that comes, and they go, oh, this is me crying, and you see yourself in a different way in that moment, and it's that literal seeing that helps in this case. And that objectivity is available all the time, and you can get that kind of objectivity, or get more in touch with that kind of objectivity, through meditation practice. And that objectivity, that non-judgmental, curious look at ourselves, whether it be in pain or in joy or in some kind of neutral state, we can have that objectivity all the time. And the way to strengthen that muscle of seeing ourselves with objectivity is through mindfulness practice. Or, well, anyway, that's that's what I'm here to tell you. Not saying it's the only way, but it's certainly the way that's helped me, and the one that I share the most often. Or in anger, right? Whatever it is, to see ourselves clearly and When I teach mindfulness-based stress reduction, it's kind of like week 5 of the program that people are asked to curiously observe their reactions. And this is coming up because of this idea that Rachel's sharing, or in anger, because that's something that it can be very interesting. Is that moment that we're angry, we haven't shouted yet, but we feel that sensation of anger, right? We feel anger viscerally. It's not just something that's up here, right? We can feel all the symptoms of anger, right? The tightness in the chest, the hotness, the increase in pace of breath. And when we notice that, then that choice comes in there. Like, that choice wasn't there before. That choice of what am I going to do now that I objectively, non-judgmentally examine this emotion. So now that I'm here, now that I'm aware of it, what will I do? And maybe we still do the same thing we would have done. And, this isn't the most important part of the practice is that knowing. And you'll find that when that decision is there, you'll often make a different decision than you would have if you're just rolling and cruising on autopilot. And that's what's interesting. That's what is so powerful in the practice. And so all kinds of things are going to happen in life, and all kinds of temporary states are going to show up, and states that last longer than temporary, that feel long and feel like they're going to last a long time. But it's a guest. It's going to arrive. It's going to leave, even if it seems like it's going to be a long time. So let me read The Guest House by Rumi. The Guest House by Jalaluddin Rumi, translated by Coleman Barks. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows, who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So I hope you enjoyed the poem and kind of know why it is considered the essential mindfulness poem. It's nice to read it with beginner's mind. I have to say that I've read that poem many, many times, and there are times that I read the poem and I'm reading it from my memory, right? And it's not landing the same way as when I read it genuinely. So I do try every time to, well, especially today. I'm more aware of that today than I was yesterday, let's say, to really read those words and to let them sink in, and to notice the feelings when I let them sink in. So know that our growth can be continuous, that these things in life that seem so challenging are ways for us to grow. And it makes me want to read the parable of the trapeze, just talking about this, because that's another reading that I love, that I think the essential message there is the only real growth happens in the no spaces, in the spaces where we feel like everything's going to collapse and we don't know when the next trapeze bar, are we going to make it? As we hurtle through the air, are we going to be able to reach out and grab that trapeze bar? that is when the real growth happens. So those last words of the poem, each has been sent as a guide from beyond, is hard to read sometimes, but there's truth in it. And I know, personally, I know the truth that's in that, and how challenging those times hurtling over the void can be. Okay, let's start our meditation. So get comfortable. You can feel free to move your head around, roll your shoulders a bit, encourage actively some relaxation in the body. Notice that you're breathing. Feel the sensation of the breath. The inhalation, expanding the body. The exhalation, allowing the body to get smaller. Noticing this mind-body connection. How is the breath affecting the mind? The inhalation and the exhalation are not the same. Can you feel the difference between the two? See if you can keep your attention focused on that physical sensation of breath. And as I guide meditation, I don't know your experience. I don't know what's going on. But I can know that you're breathing. So the one thing that I can narrate about for sure is your breath. It's one thing that all of us have in common, all human beings. In fact, most of the life on our planet exchange gases with the external environment. So in a way, this connects us with every other living thing on earth. This carbon dioxide that you're breathing out, does this molecule ever get ingested by a plant? The oxygen that you breathe, how long was it just an O2 molecule? These elements have been on this planet for more than millennia. So as we breathe, we can connect to that ancient root of life and our planet. So see if you can observe your breath with the kind of curiosity. In a way, our bodies are a guest house as well. The molecules in your body right now are all different from the ones that were there when you were born. That somehow we connect to the same feeling of me, even though none of the raw materials are the same as they were. So the guest house isn't just about experiences. It's also the physical coming and going of materials that are inside of me. See if you can keep focused on that physical sensation. The inhalation, bringing in fresh oxygen. Exhaling carbon dioxide and other waste products of metabolism. As the boundary between me and my external environment starts to blur. What am I? Am I the physical body? Am I my memories? Am I my experiences? Am I an individual? The more we examine the me, the more fleeting it becomes. and the less attached we can be to these experiences. We realize that this isn't happening to me, or what does it mean for something to be happening to me? This distance, this space, helps to allow for that objectivity to rise up. For maybe it becomes a little bit easier to welcome and entertain them all. So focus your attention on your breath and on the physical sensations that you find in your chest, in your abdomen. See if you can be aware of these physical sensations and perhaps emotions, and name those emotions as they rise up. And before we close our practice today, I'm going to read the guest house one more time. And my invitation for you today is, can you become aware of those emotions, the physical sensations, and see if you can decode them as they come up. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house, empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So maybe you're still feeling some strong emotion, maybe you're not. For those who may be feeling emotion, let's take 3 deep breaths together before we close our practice. So inhaling, exhaling, and encourage you to take the last 2 breaths on your own time. And now I'll close practice with 3 rings of the bell. All right. Thank you for joining me today in our practice. How'd it go? How was your practice today? Any questions or comments about the poetry? And I think I'm very curious into What did you notice as you were mindfully paying attention to your body and your emotions, and the poem was read? Did something come up? Did nothing come up? I'm curious about it all. And I'm sure that the chat is curious too. So please feel free to share with whatever you're comfortable sharing in the chat, and we'll have a look here. So John says we breathe out carbon dioxide and plants thrive on that. And so we see that that interconnectivity between us and the earth and the world around us. Yes, the author is Rumi, a 14th century Sufi poet from the Middle East. And it's not his only good poem, by the way. It's the one that I read the most often here, but you can find all kinds of insightful, wise poetry from Rumi. And I think the most popular translation is the one from Coleman Barks. It's called the Essential Rumi. I think I've got it on my bookshelf up there. Yeah, I see it. In fact, let me get it so that you can have a look, so that you can recognize it more easily, and if you happen to be in the bookstore. Okay, I know it's in mirror image. At least it's in mirror image for me. I don't know if it is for you, but this is what the book looks like. So lots of okay, good. I mean, Insight Timer is nice to us teachers that they put everything in mirror image so that it's easier for us to interact and to look at the camera and everything. Rumi the Mystic. Jean says, I was a guest house. And I'll add on to that to say, I am a guest house. It's funny to think about. Matt says, never get enough of that poem or Rumi. John says, thank you, Ryan. I experienced each emotion when for an instant. B says, many have Rumi quotes on their bios here. His legacy lives on for sure. Jean says, as I've been navigating the non-linear steps of grief, all have been coming and going from day to day and moment to moment and breath to breath. Beautifully said, Jean. Thank you so much. Oh. Thanks, Ren, for sharing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your situation, and I hope things get better soon. I guess that's the other thing, right? Is as much as we open the door for the guest house, for whatever comes and goes, that doesn't mean we need to concede ourselves, our happiness, that we can continue to wish for our own happiness, right? To understand that there's a difference between clinging to happiness and, the non-equanimous kind of feeling, right? Is to wince and to push away from the hard things. Is it possible to open the doors to the difficult things? But it doesn't mean we wish for difficult things to happen, right? Pain is a given, right? Pain is mandatory. It's suffering that's optional. So Can we continue to stay positive in those times, to wish compassionately happiness for ourselves and others, and roll out the red carpet for whatever comes along and say, welcome, welcome, you're here now. And whatever I need to do, it makes me think of another story that I won't share today, but it's the story of like the monster and the king, that essentially the monster comes in and the Buddha is out, and the monks try their best to get the monster away. Get out of the palace, monster. You're doing so much harm. And the more they try and push the monster out, the bigger and angrier and more upset and disgusting and difficult to move the monster becomes. And then finally the Buddha comes home and says, welcome. Have some food. Have some drink. Make yourself at home. Go enjoy the bath, right? And for every act of kindness, the monster gets smaller and smaller and smaller until the monster disappears completely. Let's close our practice the way that we do. So let's send well wishes to ourselves and to everyone else. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. May everyone everywhere, wherever they may be, may all of us be happy and peaceful. Thanks, everybody. I won't be here on Tuesday. I've got have a small trip I need to take. I will be back on Thursday, and I have another poem lined up for us to enjoy and analyze. So I'll see you in 1 week's time. Until then, take care and stay active in Ryan's Daily Mindfulness Circle. Although this is the way we connect live, we can also connect live on group meditations that are there in that circle. Thanks again, Jean, for hosting those. And whatever, if you want to chat about things, that chat is open. So until next time, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.